Gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about section 7.2, alternative views. So in the case of alternative views, we are using these views to help us understand drawings that we can't fully understand in the typical multi-view of the top, front, and side. There are three different types of section or alternate views that we're going to look at. The first one is a section view, which is used to see the inside parts. So we're going to cut away a portion of the object so we can see what's on the inside. Another is the auxiliary view, which we use to see the shape of objects that aren't clearly understood when we're looking at the typical multi-view. And then finally there's a detail view, which we use to see close-up or like zoomed in portions. Think back to the Automoblocks windshield, and there was that little notch that was super tiny on the drawing, and we had to zoom way in to see it. That would be a good chance to use, or a good time in which to use the detail view. Alright, so our section view, as it says right here, it provides a view of an object as if it was cut in half by a saw. So we're going to have a cutting plane on one view. So this is a typical front view, and you see this AA dashed line here that's indicating where we are cutting, and then we get the section view of that. The next slide's got a little bit more detail here. Okay, so the AA line, this thick dashed and dotted line, is indicating the portion where it's cut, and the AA is its name. You can see the AA right here on the cut line matches up with the description of the section view. The arrows on the end of the section line are indicating the direction of the view. So what's going to happen here is we're going to cut this piece in half. The top section is going to be thrown away, and then this bottom section is going to be rotated 90 degrees, so that we can see the section view like this. When we're looking at a section view, remember, gentlemen, the hashed marks along the edges are indicating that it is a section view. You can see it's also labeled with the scale. So that's what a section view would be. Remember, the arrows pointing down are telling you this is the portion that you're still seeing. So we're still seeing this bottom portion of the piece. It's just been rotated 90 degrees. So this bottom that we're seeing right here is going to go down and be horizontal with the ground. And then we would see this inside portion right there. Okay, so there's our cutting plane, and there are section lines, and as I indicated, so the hashed lines are showing that it has been cut along there, and then here's our cutting plane. There are several types of section views. So we have a full, half, and offset section. What we were just looking at was a full section. In a full section, the cutting plane passes the entire way through the object, and we are going to be seeing one half of the object remaining. Let me show you an example. So here's another example. So we have our section cutting plane right here, labeled AA again, and this means that we're going to be seeing this half of this object. This right half is going to be removed. The left half is what we will still see once it is rotated. So that's basically what it's walking us through. So we're cutting it along that dark blue line, or the AA line. This part is going to be removed. We're going to be seeing this portion on the left, and then once it's rotated so that we can see that interior part, this is what the inside of this particular object is going to look like. You can see that there's a lot more detail that we're not getting based on this front view, so the section view is giving us that detail. You see the hash marks along here. This is indicating that this particular object has been cut away. Next up, we have the half section. The half section is going to be primarily used on symmetrical parts so that we can see both the interior and the exterior detail. Contrary to its name, we're not cutting half of it away, we're only cutting a quarter of it away, which is a little bit peculiar, and it creates a quarter removed portion. So I'll show you an example here. So here we have a very symmetrical I don't know, flange piece that we have cut a quarter of it away. And here is the cutting plane arrows. You can see the dark dashed and dotted line, and it's cutting away 1/4 of the object. This arrow is pointing to the left to kind of indicate, it's hard to see, but to indicate that this section to the left of the arrow is going to be kept. It gives you a nice little isometric here, so you can actually see the interior and the exterior at the same time. And then over here we are getting a view of what is on the left side of this dotted line from a different view. You can see again the hash marks are showing you that it has been halfway cut away. Good for symmetrical parts. And remember, a half section cuts a quarter of it away. A full section cuts half of it away. Next up is an offset section. In this case, we are using this to see a section view when a bunch of interior features are not lined up on a single plane. It just helps you get one additional view to see, in this case, the depth of certain things and how they all match up to each other. So if you look here, you can see the section line. It's again an AA. It's pointing upwards, so we're going to see the top half of this, but it is not a straight line. It is going kind of in a zigzag pattern here a little bit. It's going to cut through this hole, then go up and cut through this slot, and then come down and cut through this hole. It just allows us to see the inside of these holes and slots to better understand how the interior looks. Just an additional section view to help us with our drawings. Okay, so that covers section views. Now we're going to go on to auxiliary views. Right, so an auxiliary view, guys, is going to allow you to look at angled surfaces. And they've got a very detailed description here that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But in this case, we have our front, our top, and our right side views. What we have right here is an auxiliary view. This auxiliary view is actually of this angled surface right here. So that's what we're seeing. This hole right here is this hole right here. And then the height right here is this height right there. So we're looking at the side of this angled surface so that we can see exactly where the hole is placed on it. It would be very difficult to try to place this hole just using our top, front, and right side views. So we've got this additional auxiliary view to help us determine where this hole is. And it's a little screwy to look at, and we probably won't use these in class, but I just need you to know that there is another view that will help you to understand where things are. All right, next one we've got is detailed views. And like I said earlier, this is just going to be kind of like a zoomed in spot on a drawing, because the detail might be too tiny where you cannot put in the dimensions and have them be legible. We did this on our Artema block windshield for the little square nubs that were on the interior part of that windshield. So let me show you an example. All right, so we've got this little gear face, and we want to know exactly how big these little gear peaks are, but they're too tiny for us to be able to dimension. So we do a detailed view, and that you can see here, it's a kind of a circular line with a double arrowhead and a letter. And then it comes down here, and you're going to see detail A. So it's saying, hey, I'm doing a detail of this section right here. And it makes it a lot larger. We've increased the scale so that we are able to put in our dimensions and fully be able to replicate it. That's pretty much all you do with detailed views. It just bubbles them in. It takes a little bit of finagling to get the detailed view bubble in the right place, and it always does this kind of raggedy cutoff along one edge, and that helps you understand that this is actually a detailed view. You place them logically somewhere on your drawing paper. I mean, I wouldn't place a detailed view of this way over here in the right hand corner because it doesn't kind of belong there. Place it logically and orientated with the part that you're doing the detailed view off from. You could do another detailed view right here. Actually, I would probably just increase the scale on this one to make it much larger. But you'll use detailed views if you made gears. When you're doing your dimension drawing of your gears, you'll have to do a detailed view along your gear heads and any other very small sets of dimensions. It's a good time to use detailed view. So just to recap, guys, we've got section view, used to see the insides of parts. Auxiliary are used primarily to find or to view planes that are on an odd angle, and then detail are your close-ups. Please make sure you've reviewed these and you understand them. I'm not going to be going over them in class because we're running short on time. Thanks, gents.